Well, I'm going to actually jump to the punchline first and talk about what's happening today. And then I'm going to go back and talk about where this came from. I think that Dave felt like you really don't need to see a lot of data and all that sort of thing. We've been doing that with your public officials and showing charts and graphs. He felt like because you were a group of people trying to start your own community land trust, it was probably more important for you to have a sense of the shoulders that you stand on and the roots of this movement and where this model came from. So that's what I'm going to talk about. But Dev is the executive director of a community land trust in Petaluma, California. She does the hard work day to day of selling CLT homes and sitting across the kitchen table with prospective home buyers and trying to explain this to them. So she has a lot more experience day to day than I do of actually sitting down with people and saying, well, this is what you get, this is what you give up. You make the choice as to whether this is for you. So Deb's going to help me answer any of your questions, and we're going to leave lots of time at the end for that. So you can query, what in the world are you people thinking about in the U.S. when you started this community land trust, and does it really work? Now, in addition, I'm on the board of what used to be the Burlington Community Land Trust, is now the Champlain Housing Trust in Burlington, Vermont. And in addition to that, I volunteer for the network that Dev is the president of. And part of our network is a separate arm, which is called the National CLT Academy, which is the training and research arm of the CLT network. So we work pretty closely together, except for the fact that she's on the West Coast and I'm on the East Coast, and we almost never see each other. And then literally, we almost never lay eyes on each other. So we had to come to London just so that we could put our heads together and talk about the future of our network. This is what the map in the United States looks like today of where community land trusts are located. And actually, this map is out of date because this is the number of community land trusts in the United States as of a year ago. And we have about a dozen new community land trusts that are starting every year. The difference between the green and the blue is that the dots in green are those community land trusts that are dues-paying members of our National Trade Association, which is the organization that Dev is the president of. So we're gradually nibbling away at trying to turn blue to green so that we get a lot of these community land trusts that have been around for a while to join the network. We have to prove to them what's in it for them. Because community land trusts in the United States have been around since 1969. The National Association of Community Land Trusts has only been around since 2006. So we've had to go back to some of those older community land trusts and try to recruit them into our network. As for what our community land trusts do today, the simple answer is anything you can put on land, anything you can build on land, community land trusts do. Many of our community land trusts started out with the idea that all they were going to do, ever, was single-family, detached, owner-occupied housing. And to this day, many of our community land trusts do exactly that. They still do home ownership in single-family houses. And I've just picked a selection of single-family houses, all of which are in community land trusts around the United States. This is one of the homes built for the land trust that Dev Goetschius is the executive director of in Petaluma, California. Many of these are new construction, but many are also rehabs, right? Where we go out and we get existing houses and we rehabilitate them. We buy the land underneath them and we sell off the improvements. We sell off the building to a low-income family. So it's a combination of construction, new construction, and rehabilitation. We also do multifamily buildings on community land trust land. And we do rentals as well. So about half of the community land trusts in the United States that are doing owner-occupied housing are also doing rental housing. the Champlain Housing Trust, which is the CLT that I'm on the board of, we actually have more rental housing than we have homeownership housing. And we do that so that people can move easily from one form of tenure to another. So if you're already in our rental housing, we give you extra points and we give you preferred treatment when your life circumstances have changed and you want to move in to homeownership. We also have people who decide that homeownership is not for them. So we give them a preference if they want to move into rental housing. And we've created this continuum of types and tenures of housing so that people can move from homeless shelters into rental housing, into co-op housing, into condominiums, into single-family houses, and then, if they want, they can take their equity and jump into the market. And we also have people that move the other way as well, yes? We are also doing housing, a number of community land trusts for elders. Senior housing that is rental, sometimes it is resale restricted condominiums that are set aside for elders. We have a lot of shelters, single floor occupancy. This is a single room occupancy dwelling for women that were formerly homeless. So we do many different kinds of shelters and those kind of special needs facilities, housing for people with AIDS, people who are formerly homeless, people in transition, CLT. We also mix models, where we have limited equity housing cooperatives, where people own the building together. They issue shares, you buy a share, you move into the co-op, and together you own the building. But we lease the land under their feet, from the community land trust. We mix retail, commercial, and residential. Some pictures here. These are retail condominiums, offices on the ground floor. This is housing above. Again, all done through a community land trust. We partner with other nonprofits to produce facilities for them. And in a number of cities where housing is not the community's principal concern, but it's jobs, we have community land trusts that focus on job training and job creation. This is a picture from Cleveland, Ohio, inner city neighborhood of Cleveland. Because of our housing bust, bursting of our bubble, there are 15,000 vacant houses in this particular neighborhood. When the neighborhood came together, a community group like yours, and we asked them, what do you need? What's the most serious, urgent need in your community? It wasn't housing, it was jobs. So what they're doing with their community land trust are commercial greenhouses on leased land, worker-owned cooperatives. This is an industrial laundry that washes the sheets for for the hospitals right there in the neighborhood. They're doing solar panel production on leased land in Cleveland, in the Evergreen Land Trust. We have a lot of mobile home parks, manufactured housing communities outside of cities. Perfect vehicle. Community Land Trust is a perfect mechanism for saving those at-risk mobile home parks. We have a lot of CLTs that are trying to bring agriculture back into the city, whether it's small community gardens or even commercial agriculture in the city. This is an exemplary project in Madison, Wisconsin that combines urban agriculture, community-supported agriculture with a co-housing community, all in the same parcel of land. Do a lot of neighborhood parks. And then there are groups like the Dudley Street Neighborhood Initiative and the Roxbury neighborhood of Boston, and they do everything. They do greenhouses, they do community centers, they do co-ops, condos, single-family houses, and in addition to that, they're some of the best community organizers I've ever seen. And they would rival London Citizens in their ability to mobilize everybody from the neighborhood to get out, because when the city is not giving money to their land trust, you still have to do the community organizing. And they have done as good a job as any group, I think, in the United States of simultaneously wearing two hats, of being both a developer